One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Good morning, everybody, on a Monday morning. Yep, it's still morning. Didn't plan on coming on live, as my show, as you may have seen, is scheduled for 2 p.m. I have a full show scheduled at 2 o'clock. But as I'm getting ready for my full show, as it happens, President Trump just comes up and goes, you know what? Turn on the cameras at 11:45 or 11:30, not really sure, and let's bring them on in. So he had a meeting at the Trump Kennedy Center this morning, and then all of a sudden, Caroline Levitt said he wants to turn on the cameras, so be ready at around 11:30. So that's where we are. If it seems like we're going to be in a holding pattern, that's what it is, because the boss calls the event. He said, turn on the cameras, everybody shows up, and now we just wait until he comes out. But there is going to be a press conference, the topic of which I have no idea. And nobody knows what he's going to be talking about this morning. This afternoon, he's also making an appearance at 3:30, so we'll be covering that as a part of our regular show. The 3:30 event is he and J.D. Vance together. They're going to be taking questions, and they're going to be doing executive order starting, I guess, the fraud Avengers. He's going to be, J.D. Vance is going to be heading up a task force to really dig into the fraud. So 2 o'clock, we can probably expect to be here for a couple hours this afternoon. This one, we're going to show it, and then we're going to bounce because I got to get ready for the 2 o'clock show. To anybody from last night, I don't know what the heck is going on with the weather, but we lost power 3 times last night. I mean, 3 times, like blink, blink, blink. And I'm like, I can't do a show. Sorry, had to bounce on it. And I understand this morning I looked at the weather. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like the entire East Coast is under some kind of storm. I guess the Midwest as well. So if you're experiencing problems and bad weather, I pray for you. I hope you guys get through it. Today, we should be fine. It's bright sunshine outside right now. Whatever happened went off into the ocean, so we should be good. All right, because this is an impromptu show, I'm like, what can I show everybody while we're waiting for President Trump to come on? And so this morning, early at about, I don't know, 7:30 or so, Scott Bessant did an interview on CNBC. Scott Bessant, Treasury Secretary, guy who knows finances inside and out. I'm going to play that, and we'll hopefully that'll bring us right to the press conference. As soon as the camera comes on, I will indeed turn it on. In addition to that, I'm watching the oil and silver and gold markets and CNBC, and it's you can tell you're probably not a stockbroker. You're probably not deep into high finance, but you probably know as much as these people do, because nobody can figure out what the hell is going on. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It is a complete roller coaster at this point. Let me just show you, if you haven't seen it today. This is the market numbers as of right now. Up 500 points. Why? I don't know. Nobody knows. The Dow bounces 400 points to start the week as oil prices fall back down to 95 cents a barrel. So it just seems like there's no rhyme or reason what the hell is going on. Hold, just hold. This isn't the time to be speculative. If you don't know what's going on, you need to just hold wherever you are and make sure that you're taken care of. Let me look and see where oil is today, since people are looking at oil like it's a slot machine. So let's look at oil. Oil today is dropped 3%. It was all the way up, basically close to 100 earlier. It dropped and now it's back down. What does that mean? It means people on Wall Street don't have a freaking clue what they're doing. None. Everybody is sitting there rolling the dice, trying to make some quick bucks. Hold. Be very, very careful right now. Not the time to be speculative or doing options if you don't know what you're doing. Let's look at silver price today. Silver, all over the place. Again, silver was up, went down, went back up, bouncing around. So what you're seeing is nobody knows what to do. These people get paid 7 figures, high numbers, to try and figure out what they're going to be able to do and sell to their clients and protect their clients. And every day they must come to work and go, I don't know. All right, say, what should I be buying? I got no clue. Because there's so much manipulation and emotion going on right now. The emotional part is people wondering what's going to happen with the war. Are they going to stop it? And they just can't say to themselves, they just can't just say, it's only been 16 days. Chill. It's going to fix itself. President Trump, he may announce something today, which, watch what happens if he comes out with something positive. If he comes out with something anywhere near the fact that he says, you know what, we're going to get all these countries to come in and we're going to escort ships, everything's going to shoot through the roof. I guarantee you. There's no doubt about it. So understand what you're seeing right now. And I guess, even like my wife, women don't like uncertainty. They don't like feeling unstable. They want to make sure, everything okay, honey? Yes, good. I'm off to get my hair done, okay? They don't want you to say, hey, everything okay, honey? I'm like, I don't know, babe. I don't know how we're going to make it. And then you'll see your woman freak out. Or vice versa, if you're a woman and you handle the finances. And anyway, just deep breath, woosah, and chill. Right now, Netflix and chill. That's what everybody has to do. Let it cook. Let President Trump do what he needs to do, and let's see what he announces going forward. I see SB is here today. SB, you there, bro? The mute button. See?
Yeah, I'm here.
Everybody always says it to me. Barry, your mute button. I get text from SB. Your mute button. Your mute button, bro. What do we got? You got anything for us while we're waiting for President Trump, or you want me to just cut to Scott Bessant?
Just cut to Scott. I don't have anything at this time.
All right. It's early. It's early. All right. Let's listen to Scott.
Good morning, Becky. Thank you very much. That is right. We are here in Paris at the OECD headquarters with the Treasury Secretary of the United States, Scott Bessant. Mr. Treasury Secretary, thank you very much for spending some time with CNBC.
Brian, good to see you.
Well, you just literally just moments ago, wrapped up meetings with the Chinese trade delegation. Tell us how the meetings went and whether or not we believe that President Trump will meet with China in April.
Well, the meetings were very good. We've got a stable relationship. This is our sixth meeting in our economic consultations. The Vice Premier, Hu Feng, and I have developed great respect for each other. But really, the meetings are generated by the great respect that the two leaders, President Trump, Party Chair Xi, have for each other. We will see whether the visit takes place as scheduled. But what I do want to parse, and there's a false narrative out there, that if the meetings are delayed, it wouldn't be delayed because the president's demanded that China police the Straits of Hormuz. It would be
because there was a report out to that effect this morning.
That's completely false. So if the meeting for some reason is rescheduled, it would be rescheduled because of logistics. The president wants to remain in D.C. to coordinate the war effort, and that traveling abroad at a time like this may not be optimal.
Because that narrative is out there. So you're not saying that the meeting will be rescheduled, but you're saying that, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, sir, if it is rescheduled, it's because of time and travel, not because of a dispute over the Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly. It would be a decision President made as Commander-in-Chief to stay in the White House or to stay in the United States while this war is being prosecuted.
Because you're a markets expert, obviously, longtime market participant. The markets may react to any word of a delay, pause in the meeting. And you're saying if this meeting is paused or delayed, the market should not react, assuming it's some conflict between the two nations.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We had a very good two days here. We'll be issuing a statement in the next few days, and we'll be reaffirming the stability in the relationship between the first and second largest economies in the world.
I want to get to the war. I want to get to oil. I want to get to commodities. I want to start, though, by just finishing up on this meeting with China. It sounds positive. Were there discussions about things like export controls on advanced American semiconductors? Will the Chinese agree to buy more Boeing jets or other U.S. goods? Can you go a little more into detail about the products and services that were discussed here?
Sure. So we really don't discuss our export restrictions in these meetings. It's more of an economic dialogue. What we do discuss, exactly as you said, are our purchase commitments from the Chinese. And we also explain to them our new tariff regime and how that would work. The 122 tariffs that were implemented, Section 122, that were implemented right after the Supreme Court ruled against the president's use of IEEPA. And we explained the Section 301 studies that Ambassador Greer and USTR will be doing, which should be completed by July.
Is there an opportunity for, assuming the stock market has, I know that's not your only concern, I understand that. Stock market is down about 5% off its highs. So it hasn't collapsed, but it is down off the highs. The markets are nervous. You look at the VIX, the volatility index, it's elevated. Would you ever consider using, or would the president consider using the tariffs, the 15%, as a bargaining chip with China vis-a-vis the markets?
Well, what are we bargaining for? Because the president's made it very clear, and over the past year, President Trump, through USTR, through myself, and Commerce, we've negotiated trade deals with most of our major trading partners, and we've reordered global trade. Our goods trade deficit with the world is down. Our goods trade deficit with China is down. We had substantial tariff income last year. The court said we'll have to refund that. But I could tell you, just because of the change from IEEPA to the 122s, and we'll see what the studies on the 301s bring, but it's very likely we at Treasury, assuming a successful completion of the 301s, and we don't know exactly how those will end, that there be very little change in tariff revenue. And again, the ultimate purpose of tariffs is to reshore production. The revenues are a very nice incidental along the way. In a way, it's kind of payback for the offshoring, for the unfair trade practices. But at the end of the day, we want to reshore manufacturing in the U.S., especially strategic manufacturing. And to go back to our negotiations or our consultations with the Chinese, we reiterate to them, we do not want to decouple, but we do need to take strategic industries back. So we are doing the strategic change, but not a generalized decoupling in terms of trade.
I want to talk about obviously what's going on with the war. Oil touching $100 a barrel, U.S. traded oil touching $100 a barrel. It's third time only it's happened in the last 10 or so years. We saw it shortly after the Russia invasion of Ukraine as well. Are there any tools that you, Treasury, the President can or will use outside of the SPR and the Global Coordinated Release to mitigate higher prices and impacts from the war?
Well, again, it'll depend on the duration of the conflict, and President Trump has made it clear that his goal is to degrade and destroy the capabilities, the military capabilities of the regime, to destroy the Navy, which is done, the Air Force, which is done, and now the bombing campaigns are going after the factories so that they cannot recreate these things. And we want to destroy the Iranian ability to project power outside of their borders. And, Brian, Iran was the head of the snake for global terrorism everywhere. Whether it was through their proxies or, there were Iranian Guard members in Venezuela. There's Hezbollah in Colombia. They're interacting with Cuba. Everywhere that there is chaos and terrorist mayhem, it is Iran. So this is a generational opportunity to end this.
I think the risk and the fear that people have spoken to on and off the record, the risk is that while the head of the snake in Tehran may have been cut off, there are IRCG bosses that have gotten personally very wealthy. They run little fiefdoms. They're rich off of control. And there's nothing to stop them from having a rocket-powered missile, shooting it at a supertanker. Do we know as a nation who right now we are technically fighting? Because between the Houthis in the Red Sea, and I know the Department of War is its own thing, Mr. Secretary, but do we have an idea as to who we are fighting against right now?
Sure. Well, we know exactly who we are fighting against. And if you want to use kind of historical analogy, think they're in Hitler's bunker, but Hitler is dead. And now they have dispersed out. And one of the things I'm going to do is bust this myth that is in the mainstream media that there is this coherent Iranian plan, that they are a smoothly functioning government. First of all, the previous Ayatollah did not want his son to become the Ayatollah. He left written instructions and they overrode him. We believe that the current Ayatollah is injured. We don't know to what extent, and maybe incapacitated. And they're just small bases. They're in the bunker. They are panicked, and like this circular firing that they are doing on their Gulf neighbors was a big mistake.
But it's enough. But it's enough to distort probably the most important shipping point in the world. And I don't want to say that the strait is, quote, closed. I don't like that term, but the reality is shipping traffic has fallen off a cliff. It's critical for oil, for gas, for fertilizers, helium, for semiconductors. Is there a plan to get that fully, I don't want to say reopen, there was a tanker that ran through today, fully operational and safe for all global shipping?
Well, let's pull that apart. So we are seeing more and more the fuel ships start to go through. The Iranian ships have been getting out already, and we've let that happen to supply the rest of the world. We've seen Indian ships go out now, so the Indians who rely very heavily on Gulf oil. We believe some Chinese ships have gone out. So that should start ramping up before there are any the flotillas or protective armadas in the Gulf. So we think that there will be a natural opening that the Iranians are letting out, and for now we're fine with that. We want the world to be well supplied. The other thing that we did, we gave a 30-day waiver for Russian oil that was already on the water. It was about 130 million barrels, and that's a lot of oil. Good thing about it.
1.5 days global supply, Mr. Secretary.
No, but that's bad framing.
Okay.
Good framing is that there was about 20 million a day coming out of the Gulf, that 1.5 of that is the Iranian oil. So the 18.5, the Saudis and UAE have diverted the production into the Red Sea. So that's about another 5. There's a strategic petroleum release. So we are in deficit somewhere between 10 and 14.
Okay, I was going to ask you, because this is the old hedge fund manager, Treasury Secretary coming out, counting those barrels. In your math, because everybody has different numbers, how many barrels of oil do you really believe your office, you personally, the president, believes that we are short in the world right now?
Well, it looks like the deficit is about 10 or 14, and that's before any of the ships are coming out of the straits. So if you think about the Russian oil, that is somewhere between 9 to 11 days, 12 days of supply without the market moving. There's Iranian oil that's out in the water right now, about 140 million barrels. The Saudis, they have supplies stored around the world that they can release. And then the global SPR release, largest ever, it was 400 million barrels.
Is there any scenario which the White House or Treasury would extend that waiver on Russian oil from 30 days to something longer? And you understand also the optics of that. We hear removing basically sanctions on Putin. People react to that.
Well, Brian, which is more? If oil spiked to $150, but Putin was getting 70% of that, or oil stays at 95 to 100, where's he getting more money? If it spikes to 150, so roughly his coffers are unchanged, and that whether a couple of billion more, a lot of money in the real world, but in terms of the Russian Federation, it costs him about $2 billion a day to run the government. Mm-hmm. So the idea is, as soon as the conflict is over, and the markets are well supplied, to go back. And again, it is a short-term window for oil on the water. We believe that will be consumed very quickly. And Brent, the other important thing to know is that oil was going to China. They were going to consume it anyway. It was just backed up. Yep. And so by unsanctioning it, it can go to Malaysia, Singapore, India. The Indians have bought quite a bit. So it can go to alleviate the shortage, because most of the oil from the Gulf does in fact go to Asia.
It does. When we wrap it up, I have to ask this question. So just kind of going back to my earlier question, is there something besides a global oil release that you or your office, the White House, could do? Could you intervene in the financial side of the commodities or oil markets to bring down the price of oil?
Yeah, that rumor's in the market.
I know.
When there's big dynamic price action, that always happens. We haven't done that.
You have. Would you do it?
So I'm not sure under what authority or what auspices.
But you have not. I want to be clear, because you know that's out there.
Yeah,
don't worry. The Treasuries and the plunge protection team is in focus.
Yeah, people used to say like the Treasury was buying S&Ps. I think that's usually an excuse for people who got too short and got squeezed.
And then finally, wrap it up. Got to ask this to wrap it up. Expectation of timeline on this, because with every passing day, with every passing week, now we're in the third week, markets going up, fertilizers, gas, everything. And the world is really worried about shortages and also the inflationary effect here and abroad.
Yep, Brent, can we just be clear here?
Okay.
It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. And, I know the media likes to move things along. We see these headlines, and that's part of the Iranian strategy. And it's very unfortunate that because of a dislike for President Trump, not you, but a lot of mainstream media are trying to speed this up, trying to make it into some crisis that it's not. And on the other side of this, if you look at longer dated crude, you look at future inflation expectations, they're both very well anchored. And this will end. And I don't know how many weeks it will be, but on the other side of this, the world will be safer and we will be better supplied.
So the backwardation of the market, you think, is correct? Yes. $80 oil in a couple months.
I think probably much lower.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessant and longtime former hedge fund manager. We're plucking some of that knowledge as well, sir, but we appreciate you letting us sit down with you here at the OECD in Paris, France, after the meetings with China. Mr. Secretary, thank you very much.
Good to see you.
All right.
One of the things that you have to grasp when you hear what's going on is that there is literally no way that not this country, this world is in any time, any way, shape, anytime soon going to get off of oil. The one lesson that should be learned here is that everything the Democrats and commies have been doing with this so-called green energy is nothing more than a scam. You're telling me in 14, 15, 16 days, the entire economy of the world is freaking out because they're worried about oil slowing down. Never mind the fact that if somebody turned off the spigot, just the mere fact that they're worried about oil not coming back out fast enough causes all of this uproar with the Democrats and the Republicans. And I'm thinking to myself, wasn't it like maybe October when Kamala Harris was running and Joe before her, when they kept telling us about, we got to reduce energy dependency, we got to have windmills, we got to do green energy. It's a crock. Anybody who tells you that, you now have complete evidence. It's a complete crock. Nobody is getting off of oil. Oil is running this world. It will continue to run this world. We have more oil than we know what to do with. We just don't have the refineries. The Democrats closed the refineries. We have the oil. The oil pricing that you're seeing isn't because of America. People are so, and I'm not talking about you guys because you guys know you're getting information. Other people are so stupid into thinking that we need to get off the oil. You know how you also know? Here's something funny. What's that little girl's name now? I guess she's a young woman, Greta Thunberg, whatever her name is, who is sailing around the world with wind because she's like, oil is bad. Oil, we can't have the world powered by oil. And all those eco-terrorists. Now all of a sudden they're saying, open up she actually is making videos saying, open up the Straits of Hormuz. Make up your mind. They only exist by stupid people following them. What you're looking at is the room where the press conference or meeting as well are going to take place. And that seat in the middle is where President Trump will be sitting. And we will obviously take it as soon as he comes out. But I just wanted to say that. I just wanted people to really, you're busy. You may not take a focus on everything that's going on in the world financial markets, but you should take a deep breath and go, wait a second. We're never getting off of oil. Nope. Ain't gonna happen. It should never come up in any election cycle ever again. The world runs on oil. God put the oil here for us to use. The entire thing of green energy is a gigantic frickin' scam. I don't even know how people can look at anything else now and watch the media. No wonder Brendan Carr wants to stop these people and make them tell the truth. How many times during that CNBC interview did you hear the word fear? And Scott's like, we're good, man. We're good, bro. We're going to be fine. Well, is it ever going to come back down to 80? It's going to actually be lower than that. How can somebody on a financial news network not understand how financial attributes work? Think about that the next time, like, you get ready to trust a stockbroker. Like, hey, what do you think is going to happen? Well, it's going to do this or do that. You don't have any idea. And if it just takes a little bit of pressure, you guys are going to freak out. I'll manage my own money, thank you. If I'm going to make a mistake, it won't because of pressure. All right, looks like they're handing out documents and stuff, and maybe they'll be starting soon. At least the camera's on. You know there's something happening. I didn't just make it up. He's coming out. Now, there was something else he mentioned in that story that I just want to have a little bit of brevity. Let's smile with this one. We can actually enjoy this story. I have to be very careful as I tell it to you. So you know that area of the country over there where they throw certain, alternative lifestyle people and they throw them off roofs, see if they can fly? Well, wait till you hear this about the new not so supreme in hiding Ayatollah. Wait till you see this one. Trump has been briefed that Iran's new not so supreme leader is probably gay. And president has a priceless reaction, and his reaction can't be any more priceless than yours or mine. Wait a second. What? How? I'm pretty sure the other guys are like, seriously? This is why they didn't want him to be the supreme leader. I'm sure his dad was, hell no, not Fluffy. I can't have Fluffy be the new supreme leader. Nobody's going to follow Fluffy. They'll probably shoot him in his sleep. Oh, God, this is too funny. I can't, you can't make this up. We're watching a Hollywood script. President Trump was stunned to learn last week that U.S. intelligence indicates new Iranian supreme leader may be, in fact, gay. And that his father, the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, feared his suitability to run the Islamic Republic for that reason, the Post can reveal. Hey, man, if this is real, if this is true, y'all got some splaining to do. Mandami, you got some splaining. I mean, or is this another way to rationalize things? I don't know. Trump couldn't contain his surprise and laughed aloud when he was told about the intel. Where'd that go? Hey, wait, laughed where is it, down here? Oh, okay. Where was I? Trump couldn't contain his surprise and laughed aloud when he was briefed on the intel, according to sources. This is one of the few sources type stories where I kind of believe it. Can you imagine them walking in the Oval Office or someplace? Excuse me, Mr. President. Yes, Mr. President. Yes. What do we have? I just regret to inform you that the soon-to-be dead new Ayatollah is what? What are you saying? I can't really say, but. I would have laughed as well. Trump couldn't contain his surprise. Others in the room also found it hilarious, enjoying the president's reaction, while one senior intelligence official has not stopped laughing about it for days, said one person familiar with the briefing. So let me tell you what this is. In my own estimation here, because here's what I think this is. Would that not be basically the most insulting thing you could say to Islamist nut job? That, hey, I heard you, yeah, you're one of those. I almost think they said that and put it out there to smoke him out. Because I don't know what else they could have said to get this guy's ire up, to make him say something, make him come out in public, than to call him a fluffer. So if he's alive and he's not out there going, "Oh hell no," then we know he's probably dead. Oh well, we got some news here from President Trump. Thanks, SV. Excuse me for a second here. The old frog in the throat. It says Susie Wiles is an incredible chief of staff, a great person, and one of the strongest people I know. But unfortunately, she has been diagnosed with early stage breast cancer and has decided to take on this challenge immediately as opposed to waiting. She has a fantastic medical team and her prognosis is excellent. During treatment period, she will be spending virtually full time at the White House, which makes me, as president, very happy. Her strength and her commitment to continue doing the job she loves and does so well while undergoing treatment tells me everything you need to know about Susie as one of my closest and most important advisors. Wow, the way he started it off, I thought she was quitting. She will soon be better than ever. Melania and I are with her in every way, and we look forward to working with Susie on the many big and wonderful things that are happening for the benefit of our country. Now you know how much she means to President Trump and how important she is to President Trump. All the stuff in the media about he's looking to fire Susie Wiles, you now know the woman is going through breast cancer treatments. And hey, you got to stay. We'll put you up here. We'll get you the best medical in the world. You got to stay. God look over her. If you've known any woman who's gone through breast cancer treatment, you would probably think the last thing they want to do is go to work. Now, on top of that, put into the fact that she's working in the White House during the most strenuous, intense times we've had in a long time, and she's decided to stay and get her breast cancer treatment. That's a strong woman. That's when you just got to salute. I'll be back in 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Well, it seems as though SV's got a bit of breaking news. SV, what you got, man?
Well, just in, Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino is retiring at the end of this month after serving America for nearly 3 decades. This comes after Bovino finished strong by leading mass deportation surges in blue jurisdictions, facing relentless threats from the left. Thank you for your service.
I can't believe it. They pushed him all the way out. They got him. Crazy. They got him taken out of Minnesota, and now he's gone completely.
I love what he did, though. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize he'd been there 30 years. He must have got a nice parachute. But as SV said, Greg Bovino is gonna retire. Man, that's huge. That's huge. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. How you doing with your weather up there in Virginia?
It's calm right now, but they're talking about a level 4 out of 5 alert for some storms and some possible tornadoes. That's very unusual here, but they're saying the winds could go up to like 80 miles an hour. So that's like widespread destruction. if it happens.
Are you having snow too, or is it at least still warm?
No, it's pretty warm. It's like 70 degrees. It is going to get cooler tomorrow, high of like 42. So it goes up, goes down. It goes every which way around here.
It's like the oil market.
Yes, exactly. I should invest.
All right. Thank you. I'll be back to you.
All right.
All right, everybody. We're still waiting for President Trump to come out. As you can see, he has not as of yet come out. I'm looking at who's there. Obviously, he sits in the middle. To the right of him is going to be Mike Johnson, Pam Bondi. I'm not sure who the other people to the right are. To the left is Rick Grinnell. And as you know, Rick Grinnell has announced that he'll be leaving the Kennedy Center shortly. But any event, I've got some other stuff I can share with you guys right now while we're waiting. Caroline Leavitt did not one, but two appearances today. First, she did something what's called Out at the Sticks. I don't know why they call it Out at the Sticks, maybe because it's just a microphone sticking out of the ground. And it's outside, right next to like the reporter row. And Ashley and I got to walk right past that whole area, so I know where it is now. And then after this quick 4-minute interlude, then she headed inside. No, she stayed outside and she talks to Fox News. So let's go ahead and go there while we're waiting for President Trump to come out.
Monday. It stopped raining, so I'll take a few questions.
Quick question on the China. Will the president delay that? Is the war still going on, and on that has the president spoken to China? No.
Yes. So the president looks forward to meeting with President Xi in China. This is a trip I know he's long been looking forward to, and I know President Xi has been looking forward to welcoming President Trump. As for the dates, as you heard from the president last night, there's a possibility the trip could be delayed. We'll keep you posted on that, but these are leader-to-leader conversations that are happening, so as soon as we have an update, we'll provide the new dates.
Caroline, President Trump says that other countries should now step up to safeguard ships in the Straits of Hormuz. Why should other countries that weren't consulted about this war, that are involved in this war, now put their troops in harm's way in the Strait of Hormuz?
Because these other countries are benefiting greatly from the United States military taking out the threat of Iran. The rogue Iranian regime has long not just posed a threat to the United States of America, but of course...
Is that not a stupid-ass question? Why should these other countries come in and support the efforts in the Strait of Hormuz? I'd have been like, yo, bitch, you understand they're profiting from the same damn oil. Oh my gosh, where do these people come from?
To our Gulf and Arab partners in the region. As you see, I believe Iran has struck more than 300 civilian targets in the Gulf region. If you think about Europe, their ballistic missile capability that the United States military is currently wiping out was a direct and imminent threat to our European allies as well as our bases in the region, which is why President Trump took this action in the first place. So these countries are absolutely benefiting from ensuring that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. This is something not just the United States, but the entire Western world has agreed with for many, many years. So I think the president is absolutely right to call on these countries to do more, to help the United States to reopen the Strait of Hormuz so that we can stop this terrorist regime from restricting the free flow of energy. And the fact that they are doing so just underscores why President Trump needed to take this action in the first place.
The president just told the UK a few days ago that he doesn't need their ships, and now he says he does?
The president spoke on that last night. He said that he wished the UK had stepped up sooner and quicker, but he continues to speak with our allies in Europe and is calling on them to do more, just as he did when he called on them to step up with respect to their defense spending in NATO. He's calling them to do more here, and I think you'll see that come to fruition.
So we believe the president feel like he needs 2,500 or so Marines in the Middle East right now?
I would defer you to the Pentagon on that troop movement, and it's not something I'm going to get ahead of the commander-in-chief on. Yeah, and look, I'm not going to get ahead of him on any options that may be on the table for the president.
So Italy and Germany both indicated that they're willing to send ships to police the Strait of Hormuz in case NATO refuses to do that. What is Plan B for President Trump?
Right now, the president is being very clear to NATO and to our allies in Europe what he wants them to do. And again, I think you're going to see that come to fruition.
We're going to come back to that. President Trump just walked out.
Thank you very much. place like the White House. Do we agree? Right, Mr. Kraft? No place like the White House. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. And we'll maybe discuss a couple of general topics. This is a board meeting for the Trump Kennedy Center, but we'll go into a couple of other things that we have the media present. It's always present, unfortunately, constantly. And I'll say a few words about what's happening in the Middle East. And if you have a couple of questions, we'll do that, and then we'll get on with our board meeting. So thank you very much for being here. We have a wonderful group of very, very smart, talented patriots at this table. Our powerful military campaign to end the threats posed by the Iranian regime continued in full force over the past few days. They have been literally obliterated. The Air Force is gone. The Navy is gone. Many, many ships have been sunk. They're warfighting ships, but I guess they didn't know how to use them. And anti-aircraft is decimated. Their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well. They've been a terror for 47 years, and now I guess the world, through the United States, with the help of Israel, is doing what should have been done many years ago. Should have been done many years ago. Since the beginning of the conflict, we've struck more than 7,000 targets across Iran, and these have been mostly commercial and military targets. We've achieved a 90% reduction in their ballistic missile launches and a 95% reduction in drone attacks. The missiles are trickling in now at very low levels because they don't have too many missiles left. We've also attacked the manufacturing plants, where the places where they manufacture the missiles and the drones. And that's going on today. We just hit 3 of them today. And it's getting very hard for them to manufacture. More than 100 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk or destroyed over the last week and a half. That has to be some kind of a record. Additional strikes continue to launch from all directions every single hour. And as you know, we attacked Karg Island and knocked it literally, destroyed everything on the island except for the area where the oil is. I call it the pipes. We left the pipes. We didn't want to do that, but we will do that. We can do that on 5 minutes notice. It'll be over. But for purposes of someday rebuilding that country, I guess we did the right thing. But it may not stay that way. Just one simple word and the pipes will be gone too, but it'll take a long time to rebuild that. We are aggressively dismantling Iran's defense industrial base, and ability to rebuild its missiles and drone capability is getting down to close to zero. And we're hammering their capacity to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, with more than 30 mine-laying ships destroyed. We hit, to the best of our knowledge, all of their mine-laying ships. Now they can put them on other types of ships, I guess, and drop them in. But we don't know that any have even been dropped in. We're not sure that any have been. That's a big negative for them if they do it. It's a form of suicide. But we don't know that they have dropped any in. But we've hit all 30 of their ships and destroyed them. They're all at the bottom of the sea. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. You know, we get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets 35%. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait. We have it in very good shape. The countries, I said, we've already taken care of Iran, but now, because of the fact that literally a single terrorist can put something in the water or shoot something or shoot a missile, a small missile, and it's fairly close range because it is a tight area, and which is one of the reasons they've always used that as a weapon. Iran has always used that as an economic weapon, and it's not going to be able to be used very long. Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me. We have some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left. But they said, we'd rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that was said, because I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries, because I know that we'll protect them, and if we ever needed help, they won't be there for us. I've just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago. Predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check. About a year before the World Trade Center came down, President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait for blood. I mean, these people literally need it. 95% of their energy or their oil comes out of the Strait, and they should be in here very happily helping us. And it's incredible. We have we're number one in oil by double now. We drill, baby, drill. We're double any other nation, and it's going to be soon triple any other nation. And that doesn't include Venezuela, who's been great. By the way, the relationship with Venezuela has been fantastic. Literally millions of barrels of oil are being taken out, and it's been a great help, and it's been to their great benefit. The president has done a really good job. We get along with him really well, but we've taken out millions of barrels of oil and brought to Houston and other places to the refineries. We have refineries set up specifically for that. And it's been a great relationship, and more and more is happening. It's a tremendous oil source, and we're stepping it up very rapidly. The big companies are going in, and they will actually numbers in a pretty short period of time. Numbers that they've never been able to do, we'll be doing. There's a lot of oil under that land. We strongly encourage the other nations to get involved with us and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm. I have that from a number of them, and I'd like to say their names, but frankly, I don't know if they would want me to or not, because maybe they don't want to be targeted. But I say, wouldn't matter if you're targeted or not, because this is a paper tiger that we're dealing with now. It wasn't a paper tiger 2 weeks ago. It's a paper tiger now. So now we're going to get down to the reason. We'll take a couple of questions in a moment, but we're going to get down to the reason we're here today. Actually, this was set up a long time ago. It's the Trump Kennedy Center Over the past year, we've made incredible strides to restore the true purpose and prestige of this revered institution. Together, we're going to ensure it remains the finest performing arts facility of its kind anywhere in the world. And I don't know that it ever really reached that stage, but it will over a period of time. We're rebuilding it. It's in very, very bad condition. It's been it's been somewhat of a disaster, to be honest with you. It's been let go to hell. That's what they've done. They did a poor job. They spent money in the wrong places. They built some theaters underneath that nobody uses, little ones, tiny theaters that cost $300 million. And the money was spent incorrectly, wrong. We're dealing with some networks on the possibility of renting those little theaters. Nobody's going to use them. They want the big halls. The halls are going to be incredible. They're in bad shape, but when they're completed, the bones are potentially something that could be unbelievable. So I want to, before we begin, I want to thank Rick Grinnell. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's been unbelievable. He was the ambassador, as you know, to Germany. There was no happier woman in the world than Angela Merkel. Angela. She called me, "Thank you, sir, thank you." Although she liked Rick a lot, there was nobody happier that he was no longer going to be the ambassador to Germany. He was difficult for them. He was not your typical ambassador. He was the opposite. He would do what was best for the United States, not for Germany. And I want to tell you, he did a great job. So good that I put him in charge of a thing called intelligence. And something he didn't really want to do, but he did it, and he did it incredibly well. There were a lot of leakers. He found out the leakers. And when he didn't find out who the leaker was in a certain area, he fired everybody. And he went into one room where there was leaks coming out. These are long-term problems that these various places have had. And he said, "Who's the one that leaked this?" And they wouldn't admit it, so he fired the whole room. And he did a good job. I'll tell you, he was very good. And during this transition period, I asked Rick if he would run it, because we wanted to see. And if you remember when we first took it over, I didn't do it with enthusiasm. I did it because somebody had to do it, had to turn it around, because it was failing. It would have closed, and physically it would have almost fallen down. It was in very bad shape. The steel columns outside, as an example, were meant to be covered. You know, exposed steel is unusual to have in building. What I do best in life is build. I build buildings really well and under budget and ahead of schedule. That's what I do. Unlike the Fed building, which is going to cost billions of dollars. It may never open. I mean, right now, we have a wonderful a wonderful new head of the Fed coming in. I don't know if he'll ever be able to occupy this complex. It was destroyed by Jerome Too Late Powell. I call him too late because he's always too late with interest. Should cut interest rates. He should cut them right now. They should have a special meeting. What's a better time to cut interest rates than now? A third grade student would know that. But that's a terrible thing. But what I do is build. I build great stuff. And what we're going to do is, right outside. In fact, if you look behind me, see the nice gold curtains? If you want to look into a nice foundation and you want to see a lot of work, very deep, very, very deep for specific reasons, we have a magnificent ballroom being built, because this is the biggest room, and it holds like 98 people for dinner. But behind me, you're going to have a ballroom that this building and the people occupying it, in particular, every president for 150 years has clamored for a ballroom, a large, beautiful room. This is a cocktail room, and this whole floor will end up being a cocktail room for the cocktail area or pre-area for the ballroom before dinners. So we'll have heads of state. We can't even do a heads of state dinner. Usually what they do is they would do them on the lawn with a tent. But when it rains, the lawn is very low. And you know the land in Washington. It was built on swampy wetland. And when it rains and you have the king of Saudi Arabia, we have as an example the king of the UK, I would say king of England, who's a great guy. He's coming in very soon. And when it rains, you know what happened? The rain would go over their feet. It would be about 4 or 5 inches over their shoes. This was not good. So, and it rained a lot. So we're building finally, because I do that. And by the way, no taxpayer money. I want to put that zero. It's going to be, it's on time, on budget. It'll be under budget. Literally, we're having it under budget, other than we've upgraded it in terms of the marbles we're using. We're using onyx and stones that are incredible. But it'll be something really spectacular. I'm looking at Mr. Steve Wynn, who's over there. He built a spectacular building, and he knows Trump builds a spectacular building. I built better buildings than him. I don't care what he said. But Steve is over here, and he really, with his incredible wife, Andrea. And thank you both for being here. Andrea's on the board, and Steve is so in love with his wife, he asked whether or not he could come. And I can say the same thing for the great Bob Kraft. He's got a wife that's so wonderful. He said, do you think I could come? She didn't have to accept that, you know. She could have said no. But Bob said, I would like to come. So, Bob, we will not let you vote, although his vote would be a good vote. He will vote for the proper thing. But it's good to have you both here. These are two great couples that know a lot about the things I'm talking about, like fixing, whether it's building a stadium or building a building. We know they know how to do it. So thank you, Steve, very much. But we've made incredible strides over the past year. If you remember, I said I want to run it for a year just to see, because the place is falling down. It's horrible. Air conditioning, heating is going to be ripped out in its entirety, and it needs new. It's old. It's, how many years is it, Rick? What's the total? 50, almost, over 50. And we have 50-year-old air conditioning, more than that, actually. And it's in bad shape. Everything's in bad shape. It's got to be redone. So I said, let's run it for a year just to see how it works. It's better than, you can't just go into something and try and figure it out. And we figured it out over the year. And you have to close it, putting new marbles in, beautiful, beautiful marbles. When you do marbles, you can't have people walking over the marble every night as it's drying and setting and going to a play. So we thought the best way, what I know best in the world is construction. The best way to do it is close it, do it properly, and reopen it, have a grand reopening. And when it's finished, it's going to be far better than it was when it was originally built. When it was originally built, it was good. It has one thing that's very good. It has great sound. I think there's a lot of luck in sound. You have some of the big opera houses. I don't want to get involved with saying which one, but in New York, as an example, where the acoustics were never good, and they've ripped it apart 4 times and rebuilt it, and it was never good. The good thing about the Kennedy Center, the acoustics are good, and they'll only be enhanced based on what we're doing. A lot of it has to do with the stones and the stones you use, the marbles you use, etc. Over the past year, we've made incredible strides to restore the true purpose and prestige that this building will soon gain, I think, at a higher level than it had before. Together, we're going to ensure it remains the finest and will become the finest performing arts facility anywhere in the world. It's got the location, and it will have the building. It's got good bones. It's got good structure. Again, they wanted to originally cover the exposed steel. It was painted a cheap gold, and we turned it into a very expensively painted white, very heavy coat of very powerful white paint meant for steel, exposed steel. A very different kind of paint, but it's almost like putting a stone over the top of it. And the color is white, shiny white, and it looks, a lot of people have commented, it looks so much better. Before they had the steel painted gold, and the gold was very cheap. There's actually never been a paint that's made that will look like gold. Steve will tell you that. You either gold leaf it or use real gold bullion, or you use a different color, Steve. Nobody's ever been able to make a gold paint that looks real. Little minor thing for the media. I'm sure you're thrilled with hearing that. But there's never been a paint. I said, someday I'm going to discover a paint where you don't have to actually use gold leaf. Gold leaf is a very, very big and expensive process, but it's a beautiful thing, but not when you use paint. So we got rid of the gold columns, which looked always terrible. They looked cheap and they looked fake, very much like the media, actually. And we took the columns and we painted them white. Before we painted them, Matt, very importantly, we structuralized them. We replaced bad steel that was very badly rusting. I mean, these are columns that are holding up a building. And we had to replace areas of columns that were actually rusted out because it was in very bad shape. It's not even describable how bad this building was, both inside and out. I want to thank Rick Grinnell, but you really did a great job, Rick, on this, and we appreciate it. I'm looking for your next venture, because he really was, there was a story he got fired. He didn't get fired. He was here for a short period of time, for a year, figuring it out with Matt and everybody else. And Matt now is going to take over, and he's a pro at construction, great at construction. And I think Matt would like to run the facility too. He's fallen in love with it. And I think he'd do a good job. But if I don't think he will do a good job, I'll say, Matt, you're fired. I'm getting somebody else. So you're under no pressure, Matt, okay? It's like Bob Kraft. If a football player doesn't perform well, typically you will fire him immediately, Bob. Do you ever let them stay around for 4 or 5 years if they're bad? Not too many times, right? So, anyway, I learned from you. So I want to thank also Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's been fantastic. I don't know, is Pam here someplace? Oh, hello, Pam. Good. She's been great. And the Speaker of the House, he's got the easiest job of anybody in government. He's got a majority of 2. I don't like to say 1 because it varies, but between 1, 2, and 3. And I think you're the only man that's ever lived that's able to be very happy about it. In fact, when we get up to 3, every once in a while we get up to 3. Actually, for a period of time, we had it up to 4, and then we had a death. And death is very bad when you're the Speaker and you have a majority of 2 or 3. But we had a death, and then we had another death, and we had some things, and but we're looking very strong. We had one man who was very ill. It looked like he wasn't going to make it. I don't know. I won't mention his name. Should I? Do other people know his name? Do you want to mention it? He'll be proud. Go ahead. Tell him the story.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Congressman Neil Dunn of Florida had some real health challenges, and it was very serious, and had a pretty grim diagnosis. And I mentioned it to the president, and I said, Congressman Dunn is a real champion and a patriot because he's still coming to work. And if others got this diagnosis, they would be apt to go home and retire. And
what was the diagnosis?
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay. That's it was grim. That's what I was going to say. I don't think
with a heart problem, by the way. This was a heart problem.
Right. So, the long story short, the president called him to encourage him and thank him, and they had a conversation. And the president mentioned in the course of the conversation, how to get my doctors involved, and they did. And within a number of hours, they took him to Walter Reed Emergency Surgery. The man has a new lease on life. He acts like he's 30 years younger, and he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention. And thank you.
He actually called Mike called me, and he said, "Sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June." I said, "Who?" Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman, incredible. He called to say that he was terminal, really bad heart. There's nothing they can do. I said, "That's bad." Number 1, it was bad because I liked him. Number 2, it was bad because I needed his vote. But he really said, "Mike, I'm going to last this out for the president and you, and however long I live," it looks like June is the time, but however long I live, I'm going to I'm going to be voting for you. I mean, how many people are going to say that? Most of them are going to say, Mike, I'm retiring immediately. That's the end.
He's an extraordinary
But
man.
he didn't do that. It was really impressive. And then I realized I have doctors in the White House. The White House doctors are incredible. And they've helped me with other people. They're helping me with people right now. People that are very sick are like they're miracle workers. And I said, I have to call them. And I called the two doctors. They're both great. And they immediately went over to see the congressman. And he was on the operating table like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And it was a long operation. They gave him more stents and more everything that you could have. I think he's got everything that you could possibly have. And they called up. They said, sir, I think he'll be fine. I said, you got to be kidding. He said, I think he'll be fine. And Mike was telling me the story that the other day he came into a meeting for the first time in a long while. Go ahead.
Well, it was incredible. I mean, he has a new lease on life. He has more energy than a man half his age, and very encouraged and encouraged all of us. So, again, a testament to great leadership. And he's, my hat's off to Neil Dunn and his beautiful wife and family. He's an extraordinary individual.
And just, because I don't want to have a terrible story about this, I did it for him first and for the vote second. But it was a close second, actually. But I did it for the vote second. All right? I want to also introduce Susie Wiles, who's fantastic. She's our chief of staff. And she's an amazing person, an amazing fighter. And she announced a minor difficulty, which will be in good shape. Good shape for, he'll be around for a long time. She had a diagnosis, you probably saw it. And she's going to take care of it immediately as opposed to waiting. She said, let's do it now. I said, do it immediately. Because with that particular ailment, the faster the better. That's the only thing I know about it. The faster the better. She's going to do it immediately. So she just started, actually. And she's going to be in great shape. The prognosis there is excellent, beyond excellent. So,
thank you, sir.
But who needs it, right?
That's right.
Who needs it? So before we took over, just a year ago, the legendary, this wonderful place was literally on the verge of collapse, both from a financial standpoint, maybe more from a financial standpoint, but also from a physical standpoint. Necessary maintenance has been ignored. The programming was very woke and out of touch with reality. And we had an orchestra that lost like $18 million a year, and they subsidized it every year. So what kind of an orchestra loses 18? And I'm being nice when I say 18, it was much more. And I started looking at the programming. They had tremendous union difficulties, like 19 different unions, and driving everybody crazy. And I think the unions are going to be great. I've always gotten along with unions. As you know, I got great union support. But you had 19 unions. Every time somebody wanted to put on a play, they had to deal with 19 different groups of people. And it's they say it was like Broadway, but worse. And you don't get worse than Broadway when it comes to the unions. I've watched that for many years. The programming was terrible. And they had a budget deficit of about $26 million minimum. Owed a lot of money. We're out borrowing money, which is a lot of people don't understand. So under the leadership of this exceptionally talented and rich board, it's a very rich board. Not everybody, but most of you are loaded. Ike Perlmutter's got so much money. Look at Ike Perlmutter. He ended up being the largest owner of Disney. Started with, was it $100 or less? It was a little less, Ike, right? He didn't speak English, and he became the largest owner of Disney. Right? But then they went woke and he sold the stock. He didn't like Mickey Mouse being woke, right, Ike? But he's one of the most brilliant business people. Thank you, Ike. It's great. And Lori, thank you very much for being here. So I think it's Lori that's on the board, though, right, Lori? What's with these husbands? All the husbands are traveling. I think it's the White House. I got all the husbands with the wives. That's never happened. Boy, oh boy, what great relationships. My wife is going to have to speak to me. This is pretty good. The biggest guys in the country travel with their wives to come to a meeting. But it has something to do with the White House, right, Ike? Right? You don't want to see me. You want to see the White House because it's a special building. But thank you. And congratulations on an amazing career. Most people don't know Ike Perlmutter. Isidore Perlmutter, and started with nothing and built a vast fortune just by deal after deal. Did you ever have a bad deal, like? Which was that? Don't tell. See how honest he is? Most people would say no. He says one, and it couldn't have been very bad. Great to have you. So under the leadership of this board, which is, as you see, incredible, we're achieving a very dramatic and quick turnaround. We got rid of all of the DEI. Some of the news media loves DEI, but we got rid of it. Maybe you're right. Brought back patriotic and family-friendly programming, and last year we raised over $130 million to keep this place going. Otherwise, it would have been closed. The building, let's call it the Kennedy Center from that time, was losing so much money it could not have stayed alive if we didn't come in as a group of people and a lot of wealthy people that made a lot of contributions. So with the Trump Kennedy Center honors alone, we raised this year a record $23 million, which was double what they had ever done before, $23 million. There's still much to do. The previous management left us a facility in very bad condition. Abysmal is the word, and everything from busting pipes and leaks to serious electrical and structural problems. And some of it we fixed, but most of it we're saving for during the construction period because we'll do a much better job of it that way. Major renovations are required to keep the facility functional, and that'll start right after July 4th. We're going to have a little bit of a celebration, not a big deal, but a little bit of a celebration on July 4th. We'll have a little party, and then after that we close or we start construction. We're fully financed. As I announced in February, after a one-year review based on input from highly respected experts and subject to board approval today, we determined, it's a little late for the board because we've already announced it, but these are minor details, but I think everybody agrees. But subject to board approval, we determined that the fastest way to bring the Trump Kennedy Center to the highest level of success, beauty, and grandeur is to cease the entertainment operations for a 2-year period of time as we complete high-quality, really high-quality construction. We've already purchased seating, as an example. We've already purchased a lot of the marbles and some of the things that are hard to get. Getting quality marble is very hard. It takes a long time. It comes from areas where it takes a long time to mine, and we're getting some of the best things you can. The marble is going to be incredible. The seats that we have, the seating is the highest level. Everything is the highest level. So this temporary closure will enable us to complete the work much faster and much higher quality. As an example, it's hard to show Shakespeare when you don't have any seats. As the seats are being changed, it's not exactly a great experience for people. So the right way to do it is just close it and fix it and open it. We'll begin right after, as I said, July 4th celebration. And thanks to the great, big, beautiful bill, we are fully funded, ready to go. And we have tremendous amounts of money coming in from some people around the table, but also from people that are not here, but that have made very generous contributions toward the Trump Kennedy Center. People that have never given to it before and would never have given it except I asked them to give. So, Rick, I thank you very much for the job that you've done, and I'm delighted that you really are. You did a great job. It was a little rough with a couple of the people, but that's okay. They've survived. Some of the artists, they took a pounding from Rick. It's almost like this guy right over here, Anthony. He knows what it is to pound people. Right, Ike? Anthony knows. Anthony's another great. You're not on the board either, Anthony. You're here with your wife? What's going on here? The most successful people, they're all here with their wives. I'm looking around. Wow, that's impressive. Anthony's another one. He started off with one truck. He had one truck 45 years ago. He ended up with 4,000 trucks, and he sold his company for billions of dollars. And you're here, Anthony? He's a member of one of my clubs, and all he has is cash. He said, I have a big problem, sir. What? I don't know how to invest my cash. Most people have a problem. They don't have any cash, right? Anyway, thank you, Anthony. You're the greatest. So all of these people have done so much, and they've done so much to help. And, Matt, I just really, I'm here to a certain extent to wish you good luck with everything and to introduce you to the board. Many of the board know because Matt's been running a lot of the initial construction and planning, and going to be assuming the role of Chief Operating Officer and Executive Director, where he'll lead a construction crew for the next, a big crew, by the way, because it needs a lot of work, for the next 2 years in preparation for the grand reopening. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be very, very special. We're doing a lot of special things. We have a lot of things happening. We have at the front of the White House on June 14th, you probably read, UFC is going to be here. Dana White, the great Dana White, he's building literally a stadium, a 5,000-seat arena right outside the front door of the White House. And they're going to have about 100,000 people in the park right across the street, where he's building, I believe, 8 massive screens for people to watch, all free, for people to watch. It's June 14th, happens to be my birthday, and that was only by happenstance. It was not planned that way, but it's a Sunday night, which they never did. Sunday night's super prime time. It's going to be broadcast on CBS, which is the Ellison family, 2 great people. Great people. It's a great family. And it's going to be a tremendous event. And we have Roger Penske, who's going to have IndyCar here. We're going to have a race around the Capitol. That's going to be in August. So we have that. And we have a tremendous number of things. We have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, and we have the 250. And as you know, I was responsible for getting the Olympics. Actually, Bob Kraft helped me. And he helped me with the World Cup, too. You were very good. Who could be better, right? But he helped with the Olympics and the World Cup. But we have the Olympics coming. I was responsible for that, right, Bob? We have the World Cup coming right now, and I was responsible for that. Then we had a rigged election, and because of that, I was always very upset. When I got the Olympics, I said I won't be president because it was last term if I went by the normal progression. And then I said, well, let's see what happens. And then they rigged the election, and I said, let's do it again. And we won in a landslide. And I came back, and I ended up with the Olympics and the World Cup. Somebody said, did you do that on purpose? So I claimed the Olympics, and I claimed the World Cup because I did get both. And then I tried to claim 250-year celebration. I said, I got that. They said, no, you didn't. That one you didn't get. They're giving me no credit for that one, Mr. Speaker. I couldn't. So I gave up on that one quickly. That wasn't working. It wasn't working. But I just want to thank everybody. This board has been incredible, and it's really nice. What we're going to do is we could take a few questions from the press, and then after that we'll have our meeting, and we have a little lunch for the board. So we'll have a little bit of a lunch, and it's an honor to have you all here. It's so many of you, Jimmy, so many of you are friends. It's a great honor to have you here, and we're going to do a great job with the Trump Kennedy Center. Okay, yes, please, CNN. Hey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not CNN, I'm Daily Wire, but thank you for the question. Numerous countries have told me they are on their way. Can you give us a hint what they are, what that entails, how soon they might be there?
You mean who are the countries?
Yes, sir.
I'd rather not say yet, but we'll be announcing Marco Rubio and the various people that are doing that will be announcing. And I have to tell you, we have some that are really enthusiastic. They're coming already. They've already started to get there. It takes a little while to get there. It's like, in some cases, you have to travel an ocean. So it doesn't go that fast, but it'll go fast. And we have some that are fairly local that are doing it. But we'll give you a list. Some are very enthusiastic, and some are less than enthusiastic. And I assume some will not do it. I think we have 1 or 2 that will not do it that we've been protecting for about 40 years at, tens of billions of dollars, Mr. Speaker. So I'll be reporting that to you in the House and the Senate, and I'll say, why are we protecting countries that don't protect us? And I've always felt that was a weakness of NATO. We were going to protect them, but I always said, when in need, they won't protect us. Now, this isn't need. need would be one of the big boys. But I will say that we built the greatest military in the world, and we protect people. And if we need their mine boats, or if we need anything, any piece of apparatus that they may have because of a situation that they have, they should be jumping to help us, because we've helped them for years stay out of wars. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Can you tell us if you have spoken with French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Have you been speaking with the French President?
What does that mean?
Have you been speaking with the French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I have spoken to him. He's been on a scale of 0 to 10. I'd say he's been an 8. Not perfect, but it's France.
We
don't expect perfect.
Are you confident that France will help with the reopening of Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think he's going to help. I mean, I'll let you know. I spoke to him yesterday. I don't do a hard sell on them, because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there. I was very surprised with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom, 2 weeks ago, I said, why don't you send some ships over? And he really didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to do it. We've been with you. You're our oldest ally. And we spend a lot of money on, NATO and all of these things to protect you. I mean, we're protecting them. We're working with them on Ukraine. Ukraine's thousands of miles away, separated by a vast ocean. We don't have to do that, but we did it. Well, Biden did it. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Biden got taken to the cleaners. But we worked with them in Ukraine. We don't need to work with them in Ukraine. And then they tell us that we have a mine ship around, and they don't want to do it. I think it's terrible. No, I was very surprised. I told him, we requested 2 aircraft carriers, which they had, and he didn't really want to do it. And then right after the war essentially ended, meaning they were obliterated, he said, I would like to send the aircraft carriers. I said, I don't need them after the war has ended and won. I need it before the war. So I was very upset not upset, I was not happy with the UK. I think they'll be involved, yeah, maybe. But they should be involved enthusiastically. We've been protecting these countries for years with NATO, because NATO is us. You can ask Putin. Putin fears us. He has no fear of Europe whatsoever. He fears the United States of America and the military that was built by me in the first term. Yeah.
President, you mentioned the significant amount of oil that China derives from the Middle East. What is the status of your conversation with President Xi in terms of getting China to cooperate, in terms of making the Strait of Hormuz safe for those oil tankers?
Yeah, so China is a great example. They get 91% of their oil from the Hormuz Straits, which we protected for years. And it always bothered me that we have these countries. Japan gets 95% of its from the Straits, the Hormuz Straits. And it always bothered me that we're protecting and we don't need them. We didn't need them before we started dig we must. Dig me must, that's the Trump policy of lots of oil. And we didn't use them very much. It used to be at 10%. Now it's at almost 0. We don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves. It's one of the great assets that we have. We have more than double what anybody else in terms of oil production. We're at more than double any other country. So we don't need it, but we did it. It's almost, you could say we did it out of habit, which is not a good thing to do. But we did it because we have some good allies there. We have some great Middle Eastern countries there, Israel there. So we did it for a lot of reasons. But it always amazed me that we did it. We never asked for reimbursement. And it was really there to serve other countries, not us. And by the way, we have the Sugar King, the same story. Look at that. Alfie Van Hoel. Alfie, thank you both very much. Huh? That's Pepe here. Pepe. Hi, Pepe. How are you? How are you? Is Alfie in the backstage? Huh? Is he sitting back there waiting for you? No? You doing all right? Pepe is a great friend of all of ours, I think, in the room. Tremendous. And we appreciate you being here. Great to have you. Thank you.
Mr. President, honored.
That's great. Both of you. Thank you very much. So go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, you've said that Iran does want to make a deal. Now, into the third week of this bombing campaign, what would that deal look like? What are the ask that you're making of the government?
They want to make a deal. They're talking to our people. I don't know if they say that to you. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Don't forget, they are a country that for years, I didn't know this until recently, they're a country based on disinformation. And now they're using disinformation plus AI. And that's a terrible situation. That's a terrible situation. They showed all sorts of things happening in the last 2 weeks that never happened. Between their kamikaze boats that don't exist, between blowing up the aircraft carrier, one of the great ships in the world, the Abraham Lincoln, on fire. They showed it on fire. I called the general. I said, General, what's with the Abraham Lincoln? It looks like it's burning down. No, it's not burning down. Not a bullet was ever fired at it, sir. They know better. I said, this is my first glimpse of AI and what they've done with it. They showed buildings in Tel Aviv burning to the ground, high-rises burning. They showed buildings in Qatar. They showed buildings in Saudi Arabia burning, and they weren't burning. They weren't hit. It was all AI-based. Terrible. It's terrible. And that's their only, I think that's the only thing they do well. They're negotiating, and we always talk. Somebody said, well, would you talk? Why would you even talk to them? I talk to everybody because sometimes good things come out of it. But I don't know if they're ready yet. They're taking a pounding. I don't know if they're ready yet. And we don't even know their leaders. Look, all of their leaders are dead, as far as we know, but they're all dead. We don't know who we're dealing with. We knocked out the first group. Then the second group met, 88 met to pick the leader because the first group was all dead. And the second group got knocked out. They're all dead. Then the third group met. I would think they're a little nervous about meeting. I don't know if they're nervous. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're crazy. If they're not nervous, then they're crazy. But we met with the next group, but we don't know who their leader is. We have people wanting to negotiate. We have no idea who they are. Yeah, please, Peter.
Thanks, President Trump. What are your advisors telling you about the Ayatollah's son, the new supreme leader? What are they telling you about him?
Well, it's not only them, it's you people. I mean, a lot of people are saying that he's badly disfigured. They're saying that he lost his leg, one leg, and he's, been hurt very badly. Other people are saying he's dead. Nobody's saying he's 100% healthy. And he hasn't spoken because the Ayatollah would sit and he'd spew hate from a form of a throne. Not as nice as a throne. I like the English throne much better. But it was a fancy chair. But he'd spew hate from his chair. But you'd see him a lot, right? This one, we haven't seen at all. So that could be for a lot of different reasons. We don't know, Peter, if he's dead or not.
Now that you've announced...
I will say this, nobody's seen him, which is unusual.
Something else. Now that you've announced that the U.S. has destroyed all of Iran's mine-laying ships, why can't the U.S. just immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we could, but it takes two to tango. We have to get people to take their billion-dollar ship and drive it up. If when Pepe has his big sugar ships coming around and they cost $1 billion, and we say, I think it's okay now, Pepe, take your ship, drive it through the Strait of Hormuz, he may say, let me wait a little while, because it takes ship owners, and these ships are very expensive. They could cost up to $2 billion. So they don't want to take a chance that, gee, I think you'll be okay. They got to know it. So they don't have to set, we don't know if they even set any mines. But the thought that they may have is enough to keep people from saying, we don't need it. Now, we are pounding that area, that coast, as you know, left side. We're pounding it, like really pounding it hard. And again, they may have no mine set. We hit every one of their mine droppers. They call it the mine layers, right? The ships. They're pretty sophisticated ships. Every one of them is gone. But it only takes one. So it's a little unfair. You win a war, but they have no right to be doing what they're doing. But we're hitting them very hard. And today is a big day where we're pounding a certain area that has very much to do with the strait. And I think we'll get it going very soon. In addition, we do have other nations coming in. You need people to watch and people to see. We have other nations coming in. Yes, please.
If the United States is working to secure the Strait of Hormuz for the benefit of other countries like China, and our allies aren't yet stepping up to your standard, is the United States getting back to being the world's policeman?
Look, the United States should not be very much involved. They can on a certain basis. They've been doing it for a long time. But I've always said, if you look back years ago, I said, why aren't we being reimbursed? These are the richest countries in the world. Why aren't we being reimbursed for maintaining the Hormuz Strait? And why aren't we being reimbursed for that? I've said that for years. You can go back. They reported on it yesterday. I've been saying a lot of things about the straits. Number one, I said it's the one advantage they have, but that's a suicidal advantage because they kill themselves more than they kill the rest of the world. And there are things you can do with time. There are other things you can do. But I think we're going to have the situation straighten out pretty quickly. And I think we're going to have some good help. And I think we're going to be disappointed in some nations too. And I'll let you know who those nations are.
One of your advisors, David Sachs, said the other week that the U.S. should, quote, declare victory and get out of the Iran war.
Yeah,
he also warned that if the conflict escalates, Israel may contemplate the use of a nuclear weapon. Has he shared that assessment with you?
No, he hasn't. Israel wouldn't do that. Israel would never do that. And, there's a theory. You pounded them to hell, and you could just leave now, and it'll take 10 years for them to build back not nearly what they have right now. And I guess that's another theory, but we want to have it ended so that another president doesn't have. Look, for 47 years, no president was willing to do what I'm doing, and they should have done it a long time ago. It would have been a lot easier. There's no president that wanted to do it, and yet every president knew. I've spoken to a certain president, who I like, actually, a past president, former president. He said, I wish I did it. I wish I did, but they didn't do it. I'm doing it. Yeah.
Which president?
I can't tell you that. I don't want to embarrass him. It would be very bad for his career, even though he's got no career left. Go ahead, please.
You mentioned.
How about the man right
Thank
now?
you, sir. Mr. President, you mentioned that you're not entirely sure who you're dealing with, who the leadership is in Iran. Do you see a viable opposition movement still in that country following all of the protests that we had seen before the airstrikes and kind of an opposition movement that could become a viable leader in Iran?
Well, the biggest problem, and we have brave people in this room, but the biggest problem that I see is that, they put out a warning, and we have the warning. We get everything they get. And it said any protester that goes onto the street will be immediately shot and killed. This is a little tougher than the American way. This is not quite as tough as, nobody can believe it. So I can't imagine, they don't have guns. And the other ones have guns. Highly sophisticated machine guns and AK-47s and other kinds of guns. And they did that with the women. So the women had 250,000, even 500 people protesting a year ago. And they shot women right through the middle of the forehead with snipers. And they didn't have to do many. About 10 went down bleeding profusely, and 250 to 500,000 women went running in the other direction, because they can be brave, but they're not stupid, and they have no gun, and you have snipers in buildings specifically for this reason. So a woman goes down falling, bleeding from the head, and it doesn't take long for that to spread. And when that spreads, that crowd dispenses. And nobody else has been able to do that to the extent that these people are violent. They killed a minimum 2 weeks ago, 32,000 people. So, and they put out actually a notice 2 days ago. If you protest, you will be shot and killed. So, I don't know. I would say Mike Johnson's the only person I know who has the courage to go out in that kind of an atmosphere. I don't think so. Right? Yeah.
Have your advisors told you anything in terms of how long we can expect gas prices as high as they are right now?
I don't need advisors to tell me that. I know what it is. You know, the Prime Minister of UK, United Kingdom, yesterday told me, I'm meeting with my team to make a determination. I said, you don't need to meet it with the team. You're the Prime Minister. You can make your own. Why do you have to meet with your team to find out whether or not you're going to send some minesweepers to us or to send some boats? I said, you don't have to meet with your team. It's the same thing here. I can tell you that when this is over, oil prices are going to go down very, very rapidly. So is inflation, so is everything else. But frankly, much more important than short-term, even long-term oil prices, you can't let the most violent, vicious country in the last 50 years have a nuclear weapon, because the Middle East will be gone. Israel will go first, without question, and they'll certainly take a shot at us before we get our act together and say we got to take them out. You can't let Iran, who's truly a nation of great terror and power. Look what happened in the last 2 weeks. They weren't supposed to go after all these other countries in the Middle East. Those missiles were set to go after them. So they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked. And the other one, you know, they fought back. They could have yielded. But think of it, if we weren't around, they had tremendous power. They had thousands of missiles, most of which we've terminated. They had thousands of drones. They were making drones and missiles all over the place. We've knocked out most of those factories. I mean, now they're sending out 2 or 3 missiles. Now, you know, they've still got some. They might have 8% left. But mostly they've been eliminated. They've been terminated by what we did and what Israel did too. Yeah, please.
Israel is expected to expand its ground offensive in southern Lebanon to go after Hezbollah. Have you discussed that with Israeli leaders?
Yeah.
And does the United States support a potential Israeli invasion of Lebanon?
Yeah, no, I did. And I know look, Hezbollah is a problem. It's been a problem for a long time, not just now. And it's a certain area, because I was with the other night a person whose parents live in Lebanon. This is a very substantial person, wealthy person, whose parents live in Lebanon. I said, really? How do you live in Lebanon? Your parents are living? Oh, yeah, they live there. And over the years, they've gotten used to the fact that it's being bombed. But they explained to me that it's really a different section of Lebanon. It's the section where Hezbollah is. And they get used to it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, people live in Ukraine. You would think they wouldn't live in Ukraine, but they live in Ukraine. I don't know that I'd do that, but they live in Ukraine. They live in Lebanon. Hezbollah is a big problem, and they're rapidly being eliminated. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
I'm here. All right. So let me get that beeping done. President Trump took some questions talking about the what's going on with the, shut up, stop. Hold on one second, the screen here. Okay, good. All right, so that went longer than I obviously thought it would go. He just kept going and going and going. Talked about a lot of things. And one of the things I'm going to talk about in our 3 o'clock show, which was supposed to be a 2 o'clock show, but has gone on a little bit further, is how they're treating women. That's something that the liberal media is absolutely lying to people about. You even have, I'll show you later, a video where Joy Reid is saying women are treated better in Iran than they're treated in the United States, not realizing the fact that she's speaking those words without a hijab and a burqa on underscore the fact that she's full of crap. Man, these liberals, they don't have anything but lies. That's it. Nothing. They've abandoned truth. Most of X has abandoned truth at this point. But I did want to show you one thing. SB had told me about it. Before we go, I want to show you this. This one. New legal victory from Pam Bondi. The First Circuit just ruled that Trump can continue deporting illegals, not only deporting them to countries, third level countries. There's more work ahead on this important issue, but this is a key win for POTUS's immigration agenda. When I say third country, it means we can, if you're from, I don't know, Pakistan, and they want to deport you down to El Salvador to go put in that prison, they can now do that. So what you're seeing with this, it says justice attorneys will continue fighting tirelessly to advance and protect President Trump's policies in court. When I say often the Democrats have nothing, the only thing that they seem to do have is Judge Bo Asperger, that he'll put a roadblock in front of anything to just slow President Trump down. They can't stop him. They can't beat him. They just try to slow him down. And this was an order that Bo Asperg said that you had to go back to wherever and bring these people back to Trendeveragua idiots. And now the court's like, you can't make Trump do that. You're not the president. You don't control immigration. These are judges who they've got to go to jail. I mean, they're purposely doing whatever they can just to slow President Trump down. And it's disgusting at this point that this is happening, and they just keep getting overturned. And we keep hearing people say Pam Bondi's not doing anything. There's another one that Pam Bondi did. And we're going to talk about these people on the right later too, because they're getting to be as bad as people on the left. It's amazing at some of these people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker, some of the bigger names that you know are don't even know what they're doing anymore. And I just feel like we have to continue just to tell people we're firmly behind President Trump. We are going to be supporters. We are MAGA. We're not changing. And these people are just trying to destroy everything associated with MAGA. I haven't even figured out why at this point. I don't know why they're doing it, but they're doing it, and they keep doing it. And let's see, 1 second. We've got to stop it. All right, so I will be back at 3 o'clock. President, just to let you. Oh wait, and before I do that, let me just do this real quick. Have a super chat from Ed. Yesterday in Arkansas, our northeast corner had snow, and our southwest corner was 80 degrees. Absolutely insane. Thank you, Ed. I got a long show for you planned at 3 o'clock. I was going to do it at 2 o'clock, but I got to have some lunch too. So at 3 o'clock, we're going to have a long show. And here's what's going to happen. I got some news between 3 and 3:45. Then President Trump is coming back on at 3:45 or so with J.D. Vance. They're going to be talking about the new fraud task force that he's going to be heading up, J.D. Vance. So we're going to news, and we've got another appearance by President Trump, and so I will be back at 3:30, 3:45. No, I mean, I'll be back at 3. he'll be coming back at 3:45. All right. Well, thanks for coming in on an impromptu event. You know, he scheduled it early this morning, and we had to respond. All right. See you guys this afternoon, 3 o'clock. I'll change the picture and everything, 3 o'clock.
Bye.